What does Nigel Farage know about the Southport attack that he is so desperate to get out into the public domain? I'm going to reveal some shocking details in this video today. Now, before I start, I just want to say thank you so much for watching this channel. Please do subscribe, but hit the bell notification icon, because the best way to absolutely guarantee you get all of my videos as soon as they are released. Well, I believe that by the end of this process, the Chief Constable of Merseyside will have resigned, and there will be a serious investigation into wrongdoing by the Merseyside Police. Now, what I will also say to you is I'm not going to prejudice any trial, although I would suggest that perhaps by the end of it, you might think that the conviction of anybody was prejudiced by the dishonesty of the Merseyside Police. Also, I want to say to you that if you take any sort of legal advice from a political commentator like me, you are an idiot. This is for information purposes only. I'm a political person. Okay, Nigel Farage says that he was prevented from asking questions to the Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper. Also, he said that he was also prevented, Richard Tice was prevented from asking a Prime Minister's question about what was going on. He said that this is one of the biggest cover-ups I've ever seen in my life, and also said that there was an information vacuum. And that is to say that Farage claims the reason for all the riots in Southport was because of a huge disinformation campaign from fake news websites, and indeed Russian bots. And he's called for greater transparency about what has been going on. And there's a debate, obviously, about the extent to which he has stoked things up and the extent to which he has been a responsible actor. Now, what I want to say to you is very simply this. I am not the only journalist in this position, but I was contacted through an intermediary by somebody claiming to act for the families of some of those present on the day of the attack, some of the girls present on the day of the attack. And they say that they have been threatened and bullied by the Merseyside Police into not admitting what was really going on the day in order to prevent certain allegations being made against the suspect. Now, I will say that we also saw with Merseyside Police them use a take out the trash day method. And just to explain what a take out the trash day method is, the day before the budget, they announced that they were bringing the following charge against the suspect in Southport, and that was information that would be useful for the commissioning of terrorism. But they stressed at that time that the suspect himself was not being accused of being a terrorist. And so I said in a previous video the following proposition. The Merseyside Police's current argument is to say that if you are charged with the offence of having material useful for terrorism and you act in a way that is compliant or similar to the methods described in that manual, by the way, it was the Al-Qaeda training manual that the allegation is that this guy had, that you've also produced ricin, admittedly in small quantities, as was suggested in the Al-Qaeda training manual. But because the police do not have a theory that you are a terrorist, that means that you are not technically somebody who is guilty of terrorism. Now, that I've described previously as the biggest pile of shite you'll ever hear in your life. It is really just, I think most people would say, an utterly ludicrous claim to make. So now what boils down to is this. Forget the trial, which is ongoing. Forget the allegations. The question is, what is the Merseyside Police's definition of a terrorist? Now, I will tell you that the families, or those purporting to act for the families in the Southport case, believe that you have been denied information by the Merseyside Police in order to protect their claim that this was not a terrorist case. Now, we don't know why the Merseyside Police are lying to protect this individual, whether it be failures on the part of their own counter-terrorism unit, whether it be failures on the part of MI5, or whether it be something far more sinister, which is this: a deliberate attempt to shine up the reputation of Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State in the following way. Basically, we don't want to damage community relations, ergo, it is absolutely vital that instead of telling the truth about these cases of terrorism, we should instead lie, because it is better for the public to falsely believe that terrorism is not happening rather than admit the truth of the battalions full of dangerous terrorists that we have brought to the United Kingdom. I think we have to be completely honest. And I think it's vital for police to be entirely honest. By the way, there's no evidence of the police being honest in the past. The people that covered, or the guy that covered up the Hillsborough disaster, which cost the lives of, I think, 96 or 97 Liverpool supporters, the person responsible for claiming that the Liverpool supporters robbed the dead and urinated on their body was later made the chief constable of Merseyside Police, something which I find absolutely extraordinary given the unbelievable campaign to blame Margaret Thatcher for the whole thing, whilst also literally putting the guy who did it or was to blame for the cover-up in charge of your local police force. What a load of nonsense. So I'm going to say to you this. I'm not going to prejudice the trial, but I spoke to my local MP today who asked me what it was that Nigel Farage believes about the Southport incident that he's so shocked and disgusted by. And I have to say, I relayed to him what was relayed to me by those people purporting to act for the families. And I can say to you that I think the claim that no terrorism was involved will not stand up to scrutiny in the end. And I think that the Chief Constable of Merseyside Police, having made the decision to shine up the reputation of this person for community relations purposes, is going to be in trouble. But I am going to ask you more in general. Forget this case. Let me ask you in general this question. How many people have to go around knifing people in the street, shouting Allah Akbar, and then go into a police station after they've been arrested and say, I am doing it because I'm an Islamic terrorist? And every time we get told they're mentally ill. What do you mean? What do you have to do in this country to be an Islamic terrorist? How do you do it? Because from what I can see, you can download an Al-Qaeda training manual, you can make a chemical or biological weapon described in the Al-Qaeda training manual, you can commit a lone wolf attack as described by the Al-Qaeda training manual, and that doesn't qualify you as a terrorist. You can stab somebody in the street and say God is great in Arabic, and then say that you are a member of the Islamic State, and they will say, no, it's mental illness. Mental illness, definitely mental illness. Look, the reality is the vast majority of Muslims in this country are not dangerous terrorists and abhor terrorism. But those people are being completely ignored, and we can't deal with the problem of terrorism unless we start to admit it. We admit the issue that we've got, which is uncontrolled immigration from war zones and our police's determination to protect the reputation of the terrorists, their determination to disguise the actions of Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, something which I think is utterly risible, utterly appalling. And I will tell you this as a final parting comment. If you knew what I know, or what I believe I know, then you would say that the behaviour of the Merseyside Police is beneath contempt, is appalling, and is something that should be seriously looked at after. I think I have to leave it there, much as it's frustrating to do that. But I will tell you, I think Nigel Farage will get to the bottom of this. I appreciate that not everybody loves Nigel Farage. He's a polarising figure. But I think at this time, on this issue, him and Tice are absolutely needed. Until next time, goodbye.